Welcome back, everyone. Let's talk about A Nightmare on Elm Street 5, The Dream Child. This one or Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare are the ones that get the most shit in this franchise, except for the remake. But going into this one, since I don't rewatch this franchise a lot, I thought that this one wouldn't be that great. But honestly, rewatching it again, I don't think it's like as great as the first three or even the fourth one. But honestly, this is a really solid sequel. Again, I love the fact that every Nightmare movie, whether people like or dislike them, always does something different. Every sequel. In Nightmare 2 was Freddy trying to possess Jesse to come out into the real world. In Nightmare 3, it was the Dream Warriors, like the kids that could actually use their abilities in the dream world to fight Freddy. And then the Dream Master, where Alice becomes the master of dreams and can control and fight Freddy. And in this one, it's the Dream Child, where Alice is back again, and she and Dan have a child, or she's going to have a child. She starts to get pregnant and doesn't realize it halfway through the movie because Freddy cleverly uses the baby's subconscious to pull people into dreams and kill them. And I really think that, again, that's a cool idea. Another great idea for a sequel in this franchise, because this franchise, I think, always does a fantastic job of being different from the other one. So I think that, just again, it's really cool seeing another sequel that does something different in this franchise. But yeah, the opening of the movie I thought was really silly. Like, I mean, it wasn't bad. It was just like, okay, we start with a sex scene. Like, it did not feel like it fit in this franchise. Like, it felt like if it was like Friday the 13th or something, maybe, then yeah. But like this, it's just like, okay, that's weird, even though it overall plays into the plot that, like, she is gonna have a baby, but I thought that was kind of silly. I didn't get why that was there. Maybe it's just because they were trying to be artsy or risque, but, like, this is a franchise that, like, although not as much sex or nudity as, like, Friday the 13th or Halloween, this one, like, it's just funny that they're trying to do that more in this one, because they don't really do that much in this franchise, which is interesting. I think out of the big three, this is the one that the least has the least sex or the least nudity. But after the opening, I really like the fact that Alice goes into the shower and she has that nightmare, which is really cool. Like, that's a really cool nightmare where she is in there in the shower and then she can't get out, and then, like, it literally starts overflowing to where she's almost drowning in the water in the shower. Like, the door won't open. That's really cool and actually really terrifying. And I liked how that played into Alice going back into the dream world where she becomes Amanda Kruger in the dream to see the backstory of what happened between her and the Thousand Maniacs that raped Amanda Kruger to make Freddy. And I think that's just really cool showing that, because Amanda Kruger was absent in part 4, but in part 3 she was pretty big, and Neil, the character Neil in the third one, really kept seeing visions of her, kept seeing her around, which I thought was cool that they went back and did that in the 5th one. But where's the Neil character? I just thought about that. He's not in the 4th one after the 3rd one. Did he die? I don't know. I just thought about that. Like, where's Neil at? So I really liked having Amanda Kruger back. That's a cool story arc continuation. And I like the fact that in that nightmare with Amanda Kruger, it's Freddy is there, Robert Englund, without makeup. And he did that in the 4th one too, and he does it in the 6th one too, but it's funny that you see him a lot more in the franchise later with no makeup or at all. Like, that's funny just to see Robert Englund as himself. And I think that's implying that it's just Freddy there pretending to look normal in that nightmare with Amanda getting raped. So, but I just thought that was a cool little showing him without makeup. That's cool to see him again like that. And the movie after this, like, I like it, but this thing does annoy me, and this does annoy me in most of the franchise, where, like, after the 3rd one, the 4th one and the 5th one do a thing where it's like these characters return, like how Kristen returns in part 4, and she's got all these new friends that we've never seen in the other movies or in the movie before that, and it's just like, and they have such a good connection. And I liked how these characters act off of each other, but it doesn't feel like since they aren't in the other movies, it's funny that they just immediately put these new characters in and act like they've been friends forever, but you never see them in the other movies. Like how in the fourth one to the third one, where like Kristen has these friends, Alice, and all of her other friends, but you never see them in the last one. But I guess it builds on after the third one to the fourth one. But it does the same thing in this one too, where Alice in the fourth one doesn't have any of these friends, and in the fifth one it starts and she's got all these different friends, and it's just like, who are these people? Who's Greta and who's Yvonne? Like, these people weren't in the other movie, so in the last movie. Like, it's not like a big deal, it's just like, it's a thing to notice, like, oh, these people weren't in the last one, and then they're just act like they've been known each other for years, but you don't see them in the last movies. This franchise does that a lot, where it's just like, oh, these friends that I've had that you never saw in the other movies. They did that a lot, but it's not like it's not super annoying. It's just like, it's weird to see that happen twice in 4 and 5 with the friend characters that are just introduced randomly. And I really liked how Alice in this movie, like the fourth one, is really great. Honestly, in a lot of ways, I think she is as good or best Nancy in the franchise. Like, I think she's actually really just... Lisa Wilcox is great in these two movies, and she actually gives off a great performance in both. And in this one, she just really... It sold me, and just how... Again, like the last one, this character is going through so much. But this time, Alice realizing halfway through the movie that she is pregnant, and Freddy's using that to kill her friends off. But while that's happening, after Dan gets killed, the parents want to take away the baby because they think that she's unfit because all this psychological stuff has happened to her. So like, Alice is dealing with that, dealing with her friends getting killed, and she's dealing with a lot on her plate. But that makes the character more likable. You care more about her, and just because of her great performance, anyways. But I really thought Alice, again, was a badass in this movie, like the last one. I love this character, and I love how, like, in the fourth one, she was a shy, timid girl, and then towards the end, she stood up and became a badass, and in this one, she is too. But she has moments of breakdown, too, like a human being has, where, like, she loses it. But, of course, like, anybody under any of these situations would do that. You can't just be completely, like, badass, but she still is a badass. But, like, she's got moments of weakness, of course. Like, I think is what makes a badass great, is whenever they have weaknesses as well and overcome them. So, I really liked Alice again in this movie. I thought she, again, is really great. And I liked how Freddy, like I said, I liked how Freddy possesses, not possesses, but he uses Jacob, his dreams, to pull in people and kill them. But again, that's just another cool idea of establishing in this franchise he's doing something else to, instead of doing the exact same thing every movie. Like, it is, in a way, these movies are the same in a lot of ways. Freddy goes and kills a lot of people, but in this one and all the sequels, it's like he does it in different ways, so it does make it interesting. And even though it's the same kind of movie every movie, it's so fun with different things they do with Freddy and how he messes with people. And the kills are pretty good in this. I liked Dan's kill. Like, that was really cool. Whenever he becomes part of the motorcycle, like, that's really cool. Even though he wakes up and he's just driving towards a semi and dies, but, like, in the dream, that's a really cool effect where Freddy is literally in the motorcycle, so he is melding Dan into it, and it's really gross and really cringy because it's just, the effects are so great because they're practical. I really love that kill. That's an awesome kill. And Greta's kill is great. Whenever like, her mother is this domineering, like, horrible woman where she's like, you gotta not eat any carbs, not eat any fat, you gotta look perfect. Like, that type of person. And, I like the fact that Greta, in her dream, though, she stands up to her mom, but then, like, Freddy comes in and just overfeeds her. But literally, and this is only in, like, the, like, unrated cut, I think, but they didn't show it in this cut. I remember seeing it before, but Freddy apparently feeds her part of her, like he keeps digging into her stomach and feeding this to Greta in her dreams, in her nightmare, and it's really good. But like in the movie, in the one I watched, I don't think you see that. But there's some cut out there that shows that happening, which is really cool. Like that's a cool, awesome, like gross nightmare. And then she just wakes up from the nightmare and just choking and die. But like, I thought that was a really effective kill too. And the other kid, I don't know why I'm blanking on his name now, but the other kid who dies in the comic book, that was kind of fun too, because that was, again, something different. And I liked how he had the Dream Warrior type of thing, because he actually did, like, he became a superhero in the nightmare, and he was going to fight Freddy, but he failed. But that was cool, because it kind of did show that you could become a Dream Warrior, like anybody could in the dreams. But he didn't understand it quickly, like, he just got killed off quick, the guy, but his kill in the comic book was really cool. And the ending climax is weird, and I feel like this is one of the reasons why people don't like this as much. Because Jacob, as this little kid, like this 5 or 6 year old kid, her unborn baby is in these dreams where Alice jumps in to fight Freddy, and Freddy is kind of just taking hold of Jacob, like saying like, I'm your friend, come with me, and all that. And Alice is trying to fight and get him not to do that. And then at the end, it's like Jacob, for some reason, like his face gets all Freddy-like, and he's like, come on, Freddy, fight with me. And it's like this little 6-year-old kid, and I'm like, it's silly. But I feel like that's one of the reasons why people are like, what? This is dumb. But I think it's fun, though. And Jacob kind of just, like, like it's hard to explain this ending. Like, it's really weird. Like, I'm seeing it in my mind right now, but it's just it's so odd. And they have that thing where, like, they're running up and down in that famous painting that, I forgot who the artist was, that famous painting of, like, the stairs going up, down, left, right, anywhere, any direction, like, and it's black and white. I forgot what it's called. But they do that where they run up the stairs, down the stairs, to the left of the stairs, to the right of the stairs. That was a cool, like, moment. And again, it has cool moments in the movie, like cool artistic moments like that. But I did like the ending part where, like, Amanda Kruger, like, she has been throughout this movie, like now Alice knows who she is, so she is trying to help Alice out, and, like, in the end, she grabs Freddy and locks him up, and I think that was a cool way to end it. It made it ambiguous, though, to if Freddy died, which, in this time, we know he didn't die, because we got other movies after this, but he, I like that Amanda Kruger was one of the only people in Freddy's life that actually, he was a little scared of. Like, he actually was scared of his mother, and I think that's cool. That was a cool little, like, difference for Freddy and his character. So I enjoyed that a lot. And then, like, it ends where the baby Jacob is born, and it's like Yvonne and Alice and her father, and they're there at the very end, the last shot. They're just there happy with the baby, and then you see from a distance a little girl jump roping. So it's not the end of the franchise, of course. They don't like, they're definitely implying another sequel, and we got another sequel. Freddy's dead after this, but it's funny because after this movie, Alice is never mentioned or brought up. And online, I've looked it up, and I don't know where people got this information, but everywhere online it says, because Alice is not in Freddy's Dead, I always wondered, where did Alice go? And it says online that people keep saying that Alice and her father and her baby, like, they literally ran away from Springwood. Which, in this movie, though, they have a line where Yvonne's like, why don't you just get away from here? And Alice is like, he'll get you in your dreams, it doesn't matter. But it said online that she drove away with her dad and her baby, so it's like, did she actually survive and escape? I hope so, because I don't want her to die. I didn't like it when Nancy died, but it did fit in, like, the story arc for Nancy. But I liked how Alice is the survivor, and I hope she survived through this and didn't make it. And apparently in Freddy vs. Jason, in one of the many drafts that they were going to do for the script, they were originally going to have, like, the characters from Jason Goes to Hell and the character Alice from the Nightmare franchise together, like trying to fight them off, but they didn't do that because they wanted to streamline it and make it easy and digestible for audiences because they didn't know if they didn't see all the sequels. So Alice, I think, did survive, and I think people were like who made these movies were gonna maybe put her in another one. And I wonder if they just couldn't get Lisa Wilcox in Freddy's Dead, but I don't know. I just thought that was funny that she's gone. But I like that she lived, though, because usually they don't in this franchise. Almost everybody is dead. So I thought that was great, that she actually survived and ran off. Hopefully he didn't get her in her dreams wherever she went. But I like that she survived. But this one, rewatching it, it's not as bad as I thought. Like, I never even thought it was bad. I just thought it was underwhelming. But again, rewatching it, I really did enjoy it a lot, and I think that it didn't... Like, the things that I remember bothered me, like the little kid, like, being all... Like, it's just goofy with the kid. Like, it doesn't bother me. It's just like, oh, it's kind of cheesy charm. Like, it's kind of charming for its cheesiness. And that's what this franchise, for the most part, is. It's like, it's pretty cheesy in a lot of ways for a lot of the films. Some of the films are more serious, like 4, 5, and 6 are the more campier ones, but this is still fun and still entertaining. So I think that this one still should be, like, not... Like, people shouldn't say that this is one of the worst, like, horror movies ever, especially with Freddy's Dead 2. They say that about both of these. Like, these are horrible. They're awful. They're not awful, and I feel like this one had a lot of good things going for it. Like, again, Robert Englund's great. Alice is great. The kills are great. It's just, again, it's just another one of these movies that just gets a lot of shit, and I think it has a lot of credit that should be noted. So yeah, this one was awesome. Again, rewatching it, I don't love it as much as the first 4, but it's a pretty close to those. I really think, again, it's a fun watch, and I really enjoyed it again on this viewing. So yeah, enjoyed this one a lot. So next up is Freddy's Dead: The Final Nightmare, which I've already rewatched, and I'm excited to talk about that one. So see you guys there.